Good day to you, distinguished guests. I'm Ken Wilson. I direct the Christensen Fund, a private foundation with a 60-year history of concern for our planet's catastrophically threatened but beautifully important cultural and biological heritage. Our work has oft focused on the Pacific Rim, and as a San Francisco-based foundation, we're delighted and honored to reach across this life-giving ocean we share to join you in your visioning of Forever Saba and the Heart of Borneo event. I join you today because I believe Forever Saba represents the new approach we desperately need if we humans and the rest of life are to thrive and continue to evolve together. It's no longer possible to believe we can succeed planetarily through unrestrained development on the one hand and a patchwork of old-style conservation on the other. Yes, we need our protected areas, but they alone are insufficient to sustain the life support systems we need as a species: air, water, soil, climate, beauty. Yes, we need our economic progress, but not of the kind which is so inefficient at converting resources into just and enduring human happiness. Instead, we need to move to an integrated approach in which all of well-being is considered, a proper economics that looks beyond short-term finance, and one in which the whole landscape and watershed valuation and planning occurs for us and for nature. We've now exhausted the cycle of progress obtainable from dividing everything up into separate, narrow technical questions, and we've entered instead the era for systems thinking and for holistic solutions. And we're now in the age when, to find a path forward, we must intelligently pool all our wisdoms and talents, indigenous and scientific, private and public, governmental and activist. These are the reasons I commend Forever Saba, because it moves us from the paralysis of fragmented, competitive thinking and boutique projects. It moves us towards solution making for the big picture. To my mind, there are few efforts with such bravely practical and statewide scale, and this is why the world is watching you with such awe and hope. Ladies and gentlemen, as a scientist, I have to tell you that our situation is rather desperate. Our current trajectory as a species has us lurching from one crisis to another for the foreseeable future. We are mere savanna primates who evolved in one of the most unpredictably variable environments on the planet, namely the savannas. Without countervailing cultural values, we typically plan poorly but adapt rapidly. We implement superb safety measures and do it brilliantly, but only after the disasters they were meant to avert have happened. As a global civilization, we have readily traded resilience and caution for productivity and risk. We have pushed the negative consequences of our resource hunger off on other parts of the world and on future generations, and we become ever more deluded that we have escaped the inevitable negative feedback loops so essential for our learning. Our disasters, therefore, will come too late for our safety measures to help. The last 10,000 years have seen the Earth's systems unusually stable, and we've mostly done rather well. But we're now potent enough as a species to drive geochemical Earth processes whose consequences we won't be able to avoid, and we've basically exhausted our winning streak. Climate change is only one of these. We need, therefore, rapidly to return to older values, values of stewardship of and relationship with the Earth and the rest of life, values of living from nature's bounty and maximizing human well-being rather than those of extractivism and accumulating obscene wealth. We need values of long-term thinking at the speed soil forms, not the speed at which it degrades and erodes. Here is where the kinds of partnerships you seek in Forever Saba with indigenous peoples are so key, for they know better than we do what it means to live those kinds of new values that we all need, and they see with a typically clearer eye the shortfalls and consequences of our dominant paradigm. This is unfortunately particularly because we've actually exported so many of those negative aspects to fall upon them over this last century. I see from today's program that you will spend the day weaving a new kind of tapestry. Each presentation explores what has in the past been seen as a huge and self-sufficient separate challenge: energy, food, forests, watersheds, and it shows that when we see them, the way you're going to present today shows that when we see each such challenge as integrated with all the others, and we approach it with our other primate skills, namely foresight and imagination, suddenly solutions become deliciously and excitingly obvious. Not only can this revisioning reveal the kind of Sabah that every kind of orang would like their children to live in, including the orangutan, but it also indicates a pathway to that future, a pathway in which every sector of society will be excited by the key contributions that they can make to achieving it. This can and will need all of us. Christensen Fund works all over the world, seeking out and backing the transformation and development path towards better and more resilient futures. Just as being your story in Sabah, we usually find these solutions emerging from social movements and practical dreamers comfortably integrating once separate worlds, linking indigenous innovation and new paradigms in economic and policy thinking. As visionary leaders and local governments like yours embrace these approaches with their operationalizing skills, the change process becomes palpable and infectious. A suggestion: start the global pandemic we actually need. Brave delegates, you tread this global new path for more than just Sabah, and I believe that, despite some inevitable tribulation upon the way, you will be celebrated for it for decades to come. And I also suspect you'll have a lot more fun than you did when you were working in silos on partial and sometimes conflicting solutions. Let all fortune be with you. Thank you.